Welcome to your safe space, the podcast your partner, friends, parents, whoever thinks it's dirty. Don't have time to read books? Want to understand all the jokes in the TikToks? We got you, fam. We're the Spice Traders, and we deal in spicy books. I'm Katie, and I need it to make sense.
I'm Liz, and I'm hypercritical.
Before we get to today's episode, we want to encourage you to check out our Patreon, where we publish extra episodes every other week, as well as ad-free versions of our regular feed episodes. Also, any series we read past the first book, all that coverage is Patreon only, so think series like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Guild. Anyway, we really appreciate the support and encouragement to continue doing something we love and sharing it with you.
Thanks in advance for checking that out. As always, we start this episode with 3 things. First is a generic trigger warning. You can find specific triggers for this book in our show notes, so please check those out. We also use foul language and talk a lot about sex. If you have sensitivity to either of those things, our podcast probably isn't for you.
Second, our episodes talk about books, the whole book, nothing but the book, so help me goddess. If you don't want something spoiled, don't listen to this episode.
And finally, we acknowledge that a good book can hit you at the wrong time. Our views discussed in our episodes are our opinion, and we don't want to diminish the work or the talents of the authors in our community. That said, we have some notes.
Okay, so if you would please, Liz and I are here interviewing Mina Brower, and it's the first time that we've interviewed an author on this podcast. We're very excited. Thank you so much for making the time for us. But if you would just give a little bit of an introduction about yourself, who you are, why you're here, etc.
My name is Mina Brower. I am a Mexican-American fantasy/sci-fi/romance author. I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes I write romance, and then the other days I'm like killing characters off. But anyways, I
love it.
I immigrated here with my parents from Mexico, and I became a U.S. citizen in 2021. So I'm very happy.
Ooh, congratulations.
So I represented myself as well, which is like my little pat on the back.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's metal as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer as well during the day. So nighttime author, daytime lawyer. And I became a partner in my law firm 4 months after publishing my first book. So I feel like I have somewhat of a good grasp on how to balance things without letting one or the other slip as much as possible. But that's a little bit about me. And I love sci-fi. I love Star Wars, anything to do with space. I think if I was smarter and knew math, I would have gone into like aerospace engineering or something like that.
The math gets us all in
I
the
watched
end.
TikToks about space. That's pretty much it.
It's a tough field to get into.
Yes.
For real. I don't have the skills.
Well, congratulations about becoming a partner at your law firm. That's really awesome.
Amazing.
And I'm glad that you brought it up because you do Moonlight as a lawyer.
Yes.
What made you decide to go into law?
So I feel like for a lot of immigrants, or maybe first generation immigrants, children that will listen to this, or even second generation, there's this whole stigma of, which is true, and a stereotype that immigrants that come here, they want their kids to go into higher education. It's sort of like the American dream where you want your kids to not have to suffer the reason why you immigrated. So you try to push them as much as you can through like higher education, postgraduate degrees. And that was the case for me. I knew that I wanted to sort of be in some sort of writing profession when I was very young, because the mind of an immigrant child is like very different, I feel, because you're on survival mode. So I knew that I wanted to do something with writing. My parents were like, well, you're not becoming an author because there's no future in that. So why don't we try, law or medicine or something, profitable. And I sort of decided, or was sort of persuaded to decide from a very young age that law would be sort of the career that I would pursue. And that's sort of what I did. And then I went immediately from undergraduate to law school, and then,
Interesting. And do you regret that decision at all, or is there something else that you would have liked to have studied, kind of looking back?
I think, and I think I sort of mentioned this, but I had a really hard time when I was younger, even though like my English is very, very like native at this point. I would have really liked to have more mathematical and like STEM exposure, and to have had math teachers that would have sort of helped me understand word problems from my ESL. I think I just love space so much. That's something that, like, if I could have gone a do-over and had that like academic support, I think I would have been amazing at math and science, and I would have absolutely gone into engineering, something that has to do with like, you know, astrophysics, something like that. So that's sort of like something that I would have liked to do. I don't regret being a lawyer. I think it's brought me a lot of opportunities. It's certainly, you know, I do a lot of affordable housing work as well. So I have the opportunity through this to help a lot of people who need housing. It's not everything that I do, but it's some of what I do. So there's a lot of good to it. And it certainly, you know, allows me also to write. So I don't regret it, but I certainly could see myself in a different field.
That makes sense. And we do need more women in STEM.
Yes.
All the women
It's a good
in STEM.
diplomatic answer, but more women in STEM. And you're right. Like, thinking back to, I was not a math person. That was not on my radar at all. But like, no one encouraged me either.
I remember going into college myself, and my mom was like, if you're going to go to college, you're going to get a degree that's going to make you money. So like, choose wisely. So I empathize with the pressure from above to like get a good career. And
Yeah, absolutely.
go into the right field.
Yeah.
Do you see any parallels between the kind of fiction writing that you do and the law work that you do?
So in the beginning, a little bit, Rena's fighting for her sort of department. And I sort of, it's funny because my minor, what I concentrated after I did all the hard coursework in my undergraduate, I did classic civilizations. So it was really fun to imagine sort of what that department and the head of that department would do if like a campus was magically attacked. And I actually, the quad scene in the book where the sort of attack happens was literally in my mind the quad of my university. And I'm just imagining like
Cool.
giant lecture hall with all like in the middle of the quad with all of the lampposts exploding, and with like the campus safe like blue lights that you could press,
Yes.
you know, for the campus
Yes.
police. So that was so there's a little bit of parallels that I could imagine. There's where I live, there's like a really fancy tattoo parlor for like yuppies, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna
Use that.
we're gonna use it. So things like that I maybe not particularly law that it would parallel, but certainly like my everyday like lived experiences, most of them are sort of parallel a little bit.
That makes sense. And that quad scene, I was like, I can see that in my college so clearly.
Oh yeah, it was fully on the Florida State University campus for me. I was like, I've lived that place so many times. This is the
I've been to
scene.
that place. Obviously, writing one book, let alone multiple, is a huge feat, and publishing. So I'm sure you could give us a lot. But what are 3 things you wish you knew before you started the writing and publishing process?
I wish I could have sort of aligned myself with people that were not yes people. I think for publishing, you need people to be critical and to sort of not be like a yes man. You know what I mean? Like someone could say, or I've seen it in a lot of other friends who are published authors for multiple books, and sometimes they try to test out a different editor, and the editor's just like, oh my god, this is so hot, I love it, oh my god, I'm salivating. It's like, no bitch, tell me, like, does this make sense? Does this
Yeah.
track? Like, do the characters, you know? So the early on when I showed my draft to a few people, I was like, this is not like the feedback that maybe is the most
not what I
beneficial for
need.
me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that would be one of the things that I wish I could have done early on. I obviously did at the end. So yeah, but that would have helped me immensely from the beginning.
That makes sense. I've shared writing, and it's hard. It's hard reading someone else's writing that, like, I love this person and, like, I want to hype them up.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at it critically.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's sometimes hard to take and give and receive feedback, right? Like I see I'm not an author and I have a regular day job, but in my day job, right, even just giving feedback on somebody's work, a lot of people can take it seriously. And so I'm wondering if, like, because the field of law tends to be so competitive and, like, you have to develop a thicker skin, do you think that helped you in this process of, like, iterating and incorporating feedback to your work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Even on one of the the first podcast episode you guys did, you talked about the campus, the lamps exploding, and then Rena standing there, trying to help. The way you described it and the way you analyzed it, that helped me. And I was like, okay, like, I should really, the next time I'm writing a scene like that, from a reader's perspective, this is what they're thinking. I should incorporate that. So, I mean, all the time, I think, especially because I supervise, attorneys underneath me and their work, I have to accept criticism and also be critical because I'm trying to help them. And I'm one of those crazy people, but maybe it's because of my law background. I read every single review. Like, every single podcast, I listen to it. Every single review on Goodreads, on Amazon, like, I am taking notes because that's just the way my brain is trained to work, to take and incorporate feedback. And I also do appeals work. So, and I interned at an appellate court. So just hearing the way people speak and talk and try to be persuasive and all of that, it's like, it definitely helps, and it's definitely due to my background in law.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I'm glad you do that. I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They, like, ignore any productive feedback, right? If you're not telling me what I want to hear, I'm not going to listen. And that doesn't get you anywhere in any field.
It's a perpetuation of echo chambers, for sure.
Yes. It's a problem.
I want you guys to read the second book because the way a character's arc progresses in the second book, I feel like you guys would appreciate it because it's not like the marketable way a character's arc goes, but it is the way they would. It is the way in a quote real situation how they would react. So if you guys read it, I really want to hear your thoughts.
We definitely will. It's on our list for 2026. So, and I don't know if you listened to the second part of our coverage, but the way that you craft the story feels very unique. And, like, that is a big part of the hook for us in your series, because the character and the setting and, like, the arcs are very different. And Liz and I were having an off the record, literally, conversation about your book. And I was like, I would be so here if, like, her dream Kel, no, not dream Kel, dream Seth is the dude, and it's her brother, and all of these things. And then that's exactly where you went. I was like, girl, I'm in, so in.
I texted Katie when I finished it, and I was like, the last 5 chapters are fucking banging. Like, what?
Bangers.
Because I didn't call it. Katie always calls things before I do. I know when I'm told, but I'm so good.
Sometimes I don't figure it out till I'm told either. Don't be too generous.
So I'll read you the first line of the other, because it literally picks up, like, after, and I know there's spoilers in your thing. So the first line is, my body burned. Stepping through the mirror was like being consumed by flames until there was nothing but ash left of me.
Yes, please.
Oh, I just got chills.
Yeah, because you know what I hate? People that are, well, I don't hate it, but when it's like 6 months later, like SpongeBob, 6 months later. Like, no, like, give me the story.
Yeah.
Like, it can, yeah.
Like, I need to know the aftermath immediately. I'm sold. I'm in.
Sold. I'm in. We'll let you know when we get it actually scheduled. We do our schedule probably in the beginning of Q4.
Okay.
So we'll get you the dates when
we do the whole
plan the thing.
Year as a chunk. So
yeah, although this is just a sidebar. It's probably not going to make it into the interview. We're trying to be a little bit more flexible because, like, we'll frequently get to a book and we'll be like, what the fuck did we just read? Like, I don't remember what happened in the first 2 books, and now we're on book 3. I don't remember who this person is. Like, we want to get a little bit
I'm
quicker.
hopefully coming out with book 3 in February. So
Oh, excellent.
Ooh.
You guys might be able to read book 2 and 3 together.
Yeah, that's good to know.
That's good to know, because we're going to try to do that with our series. It's very hard to remember.
Do you know how long book 3 is, like page count?
So book 2 is 440. It's a little bit longer. I would say book 3 is probably maybe a little shorter. So I think book 1 was 326. Book 2 is 440. I think book 3 will be in the middle.
Okay, so it'll probably be 2
like
episodes
that.
for us.
Like
Yeah.
the other ones, I can't market them as romance. Like, so it has to be like fantasy with romance elements, but book 3 is romance. So
Oh, I love
Ooh,
that.
okay.
I love that.
I also appreciate not having a third book that's like 700 pages longer than the first 2, because like, why? We don't
Oh
have
my
to do that,
God.
guys.
well, there's then there's the
looking at
fourth
you,
book.
yeah.
So the fourth book everything will culminate, and then we'll find out who gets a spin-off and all of that stuff. So
I love
Okay,
it.
I have questions about spinoffs, and maybe it's a request if you haven't done it yet.
go for it.
We'll get there.
I mean,
I'll wait.
do the request now. You brought it up. Might
I'm
as
gonna do my
well.
request now. I brought it up. Will Misha and Nira get a spinoff? Because I need them to be together.
Yes. So Misha, I have to figure out where, but I feel like her sexual energy just needs a book. It might even be a novella, like Trapped in Misha's Palace, like rated XXX. No.
Yeah.
but Nira,
Yes.
yeah, because Nira goes through the mirror, you know, like where's Nira? So yeah, so we need to know where she is. And I can tell you that maybe it has something to do with her chastity belt where she went.
Amazing. Okay.
Ooh,
I love
okay.
that.
I need to know.
I'm so
because
in.
they were my
I'm so
favorite.
in.
Yeah,
I was like,
because
okay,
Nira,
all right.
we find out like Nira can't do anything with her sexuality because they tied it to her powers and all that stuff. So
Bullshit.
Which is so
Oh my
shitty.
gosh.
Puritanical
Such
as
the
hell.
patriarchy. Burn it to the ground.
I can't wait for it to be burned.
All right, so getting us back on track a little bit. In your writing process, what are some of the ways that you keep yourself accountable to like stay on track and keep yourself creative? Because like there are days that none of us want to do anything, let alone write. What's your process like?
So for the first book, in my stories, I sort of asked, does anyone want to join a accountability group with me? And about 8 of us or 10 of us signed up. And it was a chat on Instagram where it was like, hey, I'm checking in, I'm writing for the next hour, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was one of the ways that I maintained that accountability. Another person, 2 people that were with me in that group are now published. So it's Meg Rhodes. Meg Rhodes writes body positivity monster romance. And it's like small town monster romance. It's like they're little books and they're like you eat them up. And the other author that was with me in that group is Rachel Harkness. And Rachel Harkness came out with a book called The Sharp and Shadowed Wings. So it's like Nordic fantasy. So
Okay.
you know it. Yeah. So, and then the other people that were in that group was R.P. Dunwater, which is a LGBT co-authors who are almost finished with their series. So,
Amazing.
it was an incredible group that we kept each other accountable. And that's one of the ways. And then
Writing
also,
down all these names.
yeah. And then also another way I keep myself accountable is to just keep like a rough schedule, which I know is hard with a toddler, but I feel like if I'm able to sort of devote chunks of time. I wrote the first book, when I was 5 months postpartum. She was formula fed, so she was sleeping through the night. And people are like, how are you able to write with a newborn baby? I'm like, you don't understand. When it's like formula fed kids, you put them down at 7, they don't wake up until 7 the next day. So that's how I was able to write. And then now that she's a toddler, I put her down to sleep, and sometimes I'm writing, because toddlers don't like to sleep by themselves. I'm like with my laptop on the floor writing next to her. But it's just kind of like, if you want to do something, you sort of have to push yourself, which I should take my own advice and actually work out, which I never do. But
Same.
Priorities, man.
so, but
Yeah.
for books, that's sort of just my brain kind of accepts it that way.
That's really cool.
love
And
that.
I'm sure that like going through law school, et cetera, like set you up with kind of inherently good like study rhythms and like processes, and like it's ingrained in you at first after a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned your accountability buddy group. Did you like organically find those other authors, or was that something that your agent helped set you up with? Like, how did that come about?
It was literally me just posting on stories on Instagram and saying, hey, so all of you know that I'm writing a book. I really need people to like, keep me accountable. Who's in? And I did like a little question box. People put their names on there, and then I just created the group chat, and that was it.
Nice. I like that.
That's amazing. What made you decide to self-publish versus like the commercial publication?
So because I was writing with a baby, the idea of querying was like not something that even crossed my mind. I was also writing as a form of therapy with postpartum. So for me, and you can sort of see it with Kelios in my first book, he struggles a lot with control. And that was sort of, that was like, I identify with him because I when you're going through something that your body cannot, kind of lose control of yourself through postpartum, you sort of grasp at whatever you can. So that's why I like him. I don't agree with him, but I like him. So for querying and things like that, I was like, no, like I need control of something in my life. I'm just gonna self-publish. So that's sort of what happened. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I believe in this writing. I'm gonna send it off to Kirkus Reviews and the folks at Publishers Weekly. Just kind of like, oh, like they're gonna say it's shit, whatever. And then they liked it, so I was like, okay, maybe I did something right. And
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially the control aspect. That makes a lot of sense.
The self-publishing route seems like kind of daunting in and of itself, though. Like, how did you do the research to figure out like what steps you need to take? Like, did you have any help, or was it all on your own?
Oh no, I think every indie published author needs to have help from another indie author. So for me, Molly Tullis, she has like tons of books out. She's like a family friend at this point. Like, she comes over for Christmas and we became really close.
Oh, I love that.
We lived next to like 10 minutes from each other, walking probably 15, and she's now in New Orleans, but she helped me a lot with navigating everything in terms of publishing. And then my really good friend Sarah Yeager, who is also an author, she would literally be with me on either FaceTime or Zoom, sharing screens saying like, this is like the button that you have to click to like submit your book on KDP, and like this is how you do this, and like I wouldn't be here without both of them. And Sarah actually recommended my editor. So it all just sort of organically came together through a lot of help. My other really good author friend, L.B. Benson, who writes spicy pirate romance, she sort of directed me to her book cover artist. So a lot of things just came together, and it's
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the parallels between like it takes a village to raise a kid, it takes a village to publish a book kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not really anything. It's a team.
Yes.
Also, I have like 6 tabs open now. Every time you name an author, I'm like, okay.
You guys should talk to LB. She's awesome, and she also has a young one, and yeah, I really admire her. And I think you guys would love her like contemporary shifter romances, because it's not like the typical like it's only werewolves. It's like there's like a raccoon, and it's awesome.
Oh my god.
I'm so in for that.
I'm in. So what authors inspire you? And kind of in addition to that, like what what genres are your favorite to kind of glean inspiration from?
So a really, really amazing author who I believe doesn't get a lot of praise is Constance Sayers. Constance Sayers published A Witch in Time, which is a time-traveling romance, dark romance. And it is the book that if you were to come to my house, I would give that to you for Christmas. Like, I think I've given that book out 6 times to 6 different people. I sent that book with a friend to Australia. I was like, when you see her, when you see our mutual friend in Australia, this is my Christmas present. It's an incredible book. It's a witch that travels through time, and the guide that she has, the soul guide, he is like her lover. I mean, it's like it is through every lifetime, and it is just, it's amazing. I really love Deborah Harkness from the series Discovery of Witches. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
If you guys watch the show, amazing as well. I think Matthew the vampire was cast so well. And I think because of that series, it really sort of made me realize the importance of showcasing women in fiction that do have sort of like postgraduate degrees and that are a little bit older, because in the Discovery of Witches, the main character is at university. She's a professor. So it is, those are my go-to authors. I have a few other ones as well, but they're my go-to traditionally published. And then for indies, because I have to mention my indies, would be Molly Tullis, of course, Sarah Yeager, L.B. Benson, and Darby Bayham. Darby Bayham writes for, she's not indie, she's trad, but I love Darby. She writes for Harlequin, and she does black romance, and it is amazing. I take it with me when I travel. It is, so definitely check them out.
I love your point about like showcasing female main characters that are older, a little bit more established, like have a fully formed frontal cortex. We talk about that a lot in some of the books that we cover. It's like, you're 18 and an idiot. What are you doing?
Right. Go ahead and fight that beast, but like your bones aren't fully formed. Like, okay.
Yeah. Your brain isn't fully formed. Like, can we just take a second? You don't know what you're doing.
Take a breath.
So we want to jump into talking specifically about this book that we covered, God, Moonlight, and Stardust. So in your bio on your website, you talk about kind of the inspiration from the story and how Sethos like appeared to you. And in that, it sort of sounds like it's Sethos' story. So why decide to tell it from Rena's perspective instead of his? I mean, we obviously get the twist at the end with who he really is, but why not tell it from his perspective?
So when he appeared to me, it's literally almost verbatim to the dream sequence with Rena. I was in my apartment. I was in my apartment sleeping. Like my windows were on the left side. My husband was sleeping next to me, and like I woke up in a dream. I want to think it wasn't a dream, but I woke up in that dream, and literally he was standing there next to the windows, cloaked in a black cloak of stardust, and he spoke to me. And like the conversation he has with Rena is a conversation he had with me, asking me if I was happy to see him. And I was like crying. Like I was like, of course I'm happy to see you. I didn't know who the fuck he was. I was like, but I sort of know this guy.
You're clearly amused.
Yeah. And then I was like moving my husband. I'm like, look, and obviously it was a dream, so he was sleeping. But I woke up and I wrote it down, and he urged me to tell the story of Rena, not his story. But so that's why it's like Rena's story. And I realized, like, sort of looking back at like authors that I loved growing up, like Stephanie Meyer, Edward visited her, but it's really Bella's story that we get to hear. So I guess in a way it's like, the hot dude shows up, but like you tell the story of the girl. So
I do like that. Let the women do the work.
Let the women do the work. Is that the first like vivid dream you've had like that, or do you typically have vivid dreams?
Oh, I have vivid dreams all the time. I have like premonitions as well. Like if you guys want to do a Halloween episode, we can certainly do one. I have stories.
Oh, girl, I'm into that.
Ooh, we are super witchy. We don't talk about it a lot, but we always do our annual tarot card reading together.
My aunt owns a tarot business in Spain, so.
That's so cool.
God. The words that you said in sequence just got better and better. My aunt owns a tarot business in Spain.
In
Sign me
Spain.
up.
Let's
Is that
go.
my retirement option?
Spain, let's go.
Amazing.
My grandmother's uncle married a Romani lady, and she taught my grandma how to read tea leaves. And then I have stories, so hit me up for a Halloween episode.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
I'm into that. That's great.
I'm so into that.
That lens
Make this so witchy.
It's a different lens to the dream that you had with Sethos, though. Like, that's really ooky spooky and
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, because I feel like I'll always be wondering, like, did he really visit me?
Yeah, and if so, where is he from? Like,
well, I know
What's
I know where he is now because the second book is done, and I'm like,
yeah, well, you got there, right?
I'm writing. I'm almost done with the third book, so yeah.
So, getting into a little bit of a different aspect of the story, can you talk about the decision to make certain characters gods rather than some other kind of like next to immortal being like fae or alien or something like that?
So I do explain that. I don't explain why, but I do explain a little bit of the differentiation of powers in book 2. And that was through like ARC feedback. They were like, hey, like we need a little more explanation of like why these powers are different, why some people have these powers, and that's something that you guys touched on too in the podcast, so I do appreciate that. So for me, I was like, okay, from a creation standpoint, let's talk about from like the top, like a pyramid. I wanted to assign, who is the god of the sun, and who is the god of the moon, and who is the god of the rainwater, and who is the god of, the trees. And so I sort of started creating it like that, and I was like, okay, well, it sounds really convoluted. Let's put them into 3 different categories. So I did like elemental, spiritual, and celestial. So that's sort of how I began to split them up. And then for book 2, I do explain how limited their powers are. So one of the things that you guys touched on in one of the podcast episodes was, if they're gods, why not make them like be able to do everything? And I think it comes from me perhaps being a lawyer and like sort of the governmental food chain of like who can do what and the checks and balances that we need more of. But anyways, so for me, I was like, okay, like if all of these gods can do everything, there would be no story. So I wanted to say, okay,
Fair.
So if you are the god of the moon, I'm going to limit your powers to the moon. And if you want to do, there's a conversation that Rena has in the second book with Sethos about like, how do fae powers differentiate from god powers? And like, if I was the god of the trees, the goddess of the trees, and my trees were burning, could I have the power of water to put the fires down? And Sethos tells her, well, no, you need the god of the water. You need the god of the water. So it's like, it's different. It's different. But I was like, okay, from a legal standpoint, I guess that's just the way like my brain works, of like everyone has different tasks.
Yeah.
And I was like, if the gods can do everything, then there would be no story, and Rena wouldn't have, So, yeah, I guess that's a long answer.
It's a great answer, and I think it's a really good point of like, if you make your system boundless, then solutions to problems become really easy, and then you don't have a story.
Yeah.
Something that Liz and I talked about, though, is that it feels like the gods are just people with jobs.
Yeah.
So it feels like that it explains so much with what you were saying, like, oh, my hierarchical brain from where I come from, I'm like, oh, so they're gods with jobs. That's how the powers are defined, because they have a job.
It's like, okay, like we need, I think in book 1, there was an argument where Kelios was gone, and Silas is like, well, the moons didn't rise, so we have an issue with the god of the ocean.
It's a problem.
Because the currents are fucked up. So that was
Like, bro, you left your post and everything's a mess now. Can you fix it?
right.
Right, you can't just like not have tides, okay, dude? So I'm really excited to hear a lot about in the second book, the things you fleshed out. So you mentioned you have more of like the space travel and more of that sci-fi, which is also really exciting knowing how much of a space nerd you are. And I say that with all the love because I'm super excited to read more sci-fi.
I'm here for it.
Is there anything else in the second book, or now that you're almost done with the third book even, that you flesh out even more on, like as far as their powers or their hierarchy,
Or
without giving
sci-fi
too many
aspects
spoilers?
or something?
I
without giving-
think that was one of the biggest feedbacks was like, hey, like the god powers, can you help me like differentiate, because Sathos can do a lot of things, but like what is really his power as a sea fae and what is really his powers because of the circumstances he finds himself in. So I think that's something that was like really valuable feedback, which again, you know, if I wouldn't pay attention to reviews, or I mean, no one mentioned that in a review, but certainly, you know, podcasts and ARC readers and stuff like that. So it's so important.
Yeah.
I wish more authors could, you know, but everyone needs to protect their mental health however they can. So I respect your decision as well to not read reviews.
Totally.
And that's valid.
Yeah. Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Or take it with a little grain of salt, but be open to feedback.
Yeah.
Because some people just suck, and you can ignore those people, and that's fine.
Right. So we have a couple of specific questions about like the book. In book 2, I mean, at the end of book 1, we were just like talking incessantly about like what was happening. Just yes or no, you don't have to spoil it, but do we find out what the gods did to Sethos to make him so mad?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Yes.
Good. Amazing.
Yes.
I need to know.
It is.
Because he's pissed.
Yeah. So the dedication for book 1 was, to the readers who want a villain, be careful what you wish for.
Okay. I see where you're going with that now. I love it. And then the last specific question we have is like, can you tell me when you wrote the watch, how you envision it?
Because I know you heard our confusion. I want to know what you see.
So the watch, what I imagined was a suspended platform made of marble, magical marble, because marble doesn't fly.
Magical, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Suspended like marble that's floating in like the ether, and it's filled with demigods and gods, and they're sort of like, not pirates, but they're like sailing the cosmos, doing like almost like tune-ups and like checkups to like this different stars that are potentially volatile, that are going to like supernova or like nebulas and things like that, and then checking the moons and making sure that everything is working accordingly. So that's sort of what I imagined.
That makes sense. Okay. I do like it.
I love the visual of just like sailing through and having like kind of more mobility rather than just being like a central command post.
Yeah,
That's really poetic.
Yeah. That makes, there's a lot to check up on. They're not just watching like Earth, for example.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Which I think when we get to Nera's probably novella, because I don't know how much sex I can write before it's like, okay, there's no plot, but I feel like she needs a lot of it.
We're okay with that.
I will talk about poor girl. I will talk about the watch more, so it'll be a lot more visual explanation.
Do we get watch sex? That would be amazing.
I mean, you know, you never know who's up there, so
yeah.
We're okay with some voyeurism. It's fine.
A little.
That's the kind of
voyeurism,
book you
never
want to
hurt
write, I
anybody.
guess. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
his novella.
So our closing question is, what are you most excited about on your TBR shelf?
Oh my god. I really,
The hard
really,
one. Those TBRs are rough.
I know. Okay, so I really want to get, I really want to find time to read the Iron Flame books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I really I really want to read them. I am such a like not YOLO. I'm such a fear of missing out FOMO person. So I get all the special editions and they're sitting in my chaotic shelf back there. And I want to find a time to sit down and read them and enjoy them and find out who the fuck Zayden is and why everyone's obsessed with him, because I feel like I would also be obsessed with him.
Probably.
So that I really want to read. I really want to read the Daniel Jensen books, Cursed in Blood. I think.
I'm not familiar.
I haven't heard of that.
A fate Kirsten blood. A mate Kirsten blood.
A blank.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
A blank. Yeah.
And she just came out with the second book, and I ordered that from Barnes & Nobles, and it's like beautiful because it's like sprayed edges, and I'm like, okay, I need to read these. So those are two on the really
love
top.
a sprayed edge.
Yeah, really top on my
Amazing.
TBR.
Great answers. We've done
Those are great answers.
Fourth Wing. Affectionately, we call it Iran Flamme and Onyx Storm, and they're all, oh my god, when you read them.
Yeah. I
tweet us or
have
something.
like
It's
the,
so
the
good.
sprayed edges with the little dragons. Like
Yes.
I was one of those people that was like, yes, I got it, but I need to read them.
Yeah. I think you're gonna love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you will.
Yeah. Good luck with the cliffhanger.
Oh my god.
No, I know.
And she
I
hasn't
know.
even started reading. I can't.
It's fine.
I think about it
It's
too
good
much,
to
I
know
get
that
mad.
you're cranking them out. We love that. I don't want to wait.
I don't want to wait. Anyway, on that terrible disappointment, Mina, thank you so much for meeting with us and interviewing today. We really enjoyed the talk.
Oh, I loved you guys. Thank you.
To all of our listeners, we will be covering book 2. What's the title of book 2?
An Era of Darkness and Ruin. So a blank.
A blank and blank and blank. Okay, an Era
That's
of Darkness
also
and Ruin.
affectionately teasing.
No, but you know what the trend now is to move away from that. And when I heard you guys say that in the first podcast, and just seeing the trend of people slowly move away from that like ACOTAR sort of trend that Sarah J. Maas set, the third book is named slightly different. So I have you guys to thank for really putting that into my mind and being like, okay, like let's look at the trends. So it might be like slightly different, like not maybe a blank, but slightly different.
A blank.
A blank and blank. I like it. Amazing.
We're here for that.
I'm excited to find out what it's going to be. But okay, that's going to be it for our coverage and our interview with you. But stay tuned for our coverage of book 2, which will be released on our Patreon sometime next year. But if you want to listen to our coverage of Mina Brower's first book, A God of Moonlight and Stardust, yes, that is live on our regular feed. So check that out. But until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.